Most high income earners are just doing the same thing over and over again every day. They're going to work, they're saving, they're investing, and that's pretty much it. They really have no plan. They just know they're putting money away in the stock market. They're just hoping something happens at some point or whatever. And you know what? I was operating like that as well until I figured out that there was a different way. And that way is this. All you have to do is figure out your freedom number. And that's what I want to talk about today in this video. Once you have enough passive income that's coming in to replace your monthly expenses, that's when everything changes. And that's what I want to talk to you today in this video. Most of us are chasing a really big number that typically a financial advisor wants us to chase, because think about it. The longer you work, the more that they can charge you fees each year. Perfect example. My grandmother passed away about 8 or 9 years ago, and she had the majority of her money, retirement money, with Chase. Now, I'm not bashing Chase. I'm just telling you because that's just what it is. So when my dad inherited that money and I looked at the list and I said, well, why does an 86-year-old woman need to be in 27 different funds? Well, I know why. It's because every time they make a trade, the financial advisor, or supposedly fiduciary financial advisor, is getting to charge fees. 86-year-old person. That's just insane. And I wanted to call and say something to the guy, but my dad wouldn't let me because I think he knew him. But anyway, but that's what we're doing. We're allowing somebody the financial control of our future. And the majority of the people, they don't have your best interest in sight. Because here's a perfect example. I'll talk with somebody, maybe like a high income earner, like a dentist. And, he's got some money in the stock market. He's paying too much taxes. He doesn't have any passive income. I'm not anti-stock market. I'm not anti really anything. I like to look at the person's situation and then say, look, based on what I know, I like to answer questions in a way that if I were in their shoes, this is what I would do. Not, oh, you have to invest in the stock market because I can charge you fees and it doesn't matter anything. I'm anti-real estate because I don't benefit from it. That's their mindset. That's their mentality. And to me, that's just wrong. But anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox now. You don't have to chase a 5 or 10 or 15 million, whatever that number that they have told you in the past. You just have to simply figure out what your monthly expenses are and replace that or as much of that with income, passive income that's coming in that does not require you to be working. Well, the problem is we're set up from day one with our W-2 jobs, not in anything that is bringing passive income in, right? We're set up, the whole system is set up for us to be an employee, for us to be self-employed, business owner, whatever. But it involves us. If we don't show up, we don't get paid. And the people that are really wealthy and have figured it out and have had freedom, not so much they're wealthy in the amount of money they have, they're wealthy in their time, the freedom. They can just go do whatever they want. They can go to the beach anytime they want or whatever. I was joking with the guy that was putting out our beach chairs yesterday, and I was asking about, did he know? I always like to know if there's any RV parks or mobile home parks in the areas that they know of. Maybe they know somebody would want to sell. And he told me about one that he used to live in. He said, yeah, the lady, he's like, yeah, you should call this lady, but I don't think she would sell. I said, why? He said, well, I lived there a couple of years ago and it was like she gives you strikes. It was like 3 strikes. I was out. I was like, well, what did you do? He said, I was, in my golf cart. He said, I lived in a camper there and I was in my golf cart and I was going 7 miles an hour. And I was like, well, how fast can you go? He said, you can't get the speed limit's 5 miles an hour. And I was like, well, is she walking around with like a radar gun? He's like, I don't know what she did, but it kicked me out. But anyway, we had actually tried to purchase that one before. But my point of telling you that is he was talking about passive income. And he's like, man, there's not a better feeling than waking up in the morning, looking in your bank app and seeing you just got dinged with passive income. And you don't have to do anything about it. And actually, when I woke up this morning, I had that feeling as well. And it was a business that a friend of mine it's nothing related to real estate, but it's just a good feeling. And he, basically got a kick out of that. But my point is, we're not set up at all to do that. And first thing that you want to do if you don't know what your monthly expenses are is to sit down, look at your credit card charges. The easiest thing to do if you're not using a credit card, just earmark a credit card for all your personal expenses. If you're not doing that now, go ahead and do that. I use, and there's all kinds of different credit cards. As of this recording, we're using the Chase Sapphire card, which is a really good one. It's easy to use. It's easy to read the annual statement. So you can go, at the end of the year, you can get a statement for what you spent, and you can automatically know what your monthly expenses are. You just take that number divided by 12. If you have a mortgage or rent or something like that, anything that you're not paying through that credit card, just add that on that as well. And it's actually safe to add about 10%. So if you're spending $100,000 a year and that's your monthly expenses, tack on about another 10%. So $110,000 a year, just give you a little self a buffer. Well, Jeff, what if I could only get $50,000 in passive income instead of 100? Well, that's 50,000 more dollars in passive income that you've got coming in now because you've been paying attention. So now what you could do is you can cut back if you want to. It's starting to give you options, but I can tell you right now, if you don't have any passive income and you try to plan this out and you think it's going to take you 10 years or 15 years or 12 years, I can tell you right now, from my experience, it will not, because you're going to start shifting. You're going to start looking for passive income opportunities. You're going to start taking money like I was, instead of putting in the stock market, which you can't touch until you're in your 60s. If you do touch it, then what do you got to do? You got to pay capital gains taxes. With a lot of the real estate that we're doing, a lot of it is just tax. You're not even paying any tax on it because of the depreciation. I've got plenty of videos on depreciation, bonus depreciation for my mobile home parks, RV parks, that sort of thing. Again, guys, they don't teach you any of this in school. Okay. But once you figure out that freedom number, your expenses, once you get that freedom number, then now you're able to set out and to start to replace your expenses. Let's say you have a $200 internet bill a month. Well, focus on, okay, I want to replace my $200 monthly internet and phone bill a month. Once you do that, move on to the next thing, and actually kind of get you excited. It's kind of like Dave Ramsey's debt snowball, how he recommends that you list out all your debts, smallest to largest, and you put all the money you can, throw it at that smallest debt. And then once you do that, then you kind of get you excited. It gets you're motivated now. So when you move on to the next one, you'll probably do it a lot faster. Now, what I want you to do, I want you to imagine that you've accomplished that freedom number. I want you to visualize that, picture that you have. If your freedom number is 10 grand a month, imagine you are getting $10,000 a month to come into your account without you having to see customers, having to work for a boss, having to treat patients, whatever. You're not trading your time for money. Imagine that. What would your life look like? Would you keep working? Would you work part-time? Would you maybe do something that doesn't really pay any money, that much money, but you've been wanting to do it forever? Maybe you want to coach a ball team. Maybe you want to teach somewhere. Maybe you want to volunteer, anything like that. But guess what that does? That having that coming in like that gives you something that you don't have now, options. You don't have options. So if you want to start the process of going down that route, finding out what to invest in, my advice to you would be figure out what you like. If you like real estate, if you like maybe other businesses, if you're knowledgeable in something, maybe you're like a sales rep, or you're a medical device rep or a drug rep, something like that, something that you understand. Maybe you want to find different businesses or something like that in those fields. If you're a plumber, maybe you want to be a passive investor and buy another plumbing business. There's plenty of opportunities out there. I chose to invest in real estate syndications, where you put your money in with other people. You're a limited partner. You put your money in with other people. And the general partners, the sponsors of the group, they go out and they buy hotels, condos. We do mobile home parks. We do RV parks. There's condos in the background, Airbnbs, whatever. You could literally anything like that. And then you start getting paid. Now, I started off again as a limited partner, gradually started making connections, was able to start raising capital as a co-general partner for other people. And now I'm a general partner. But when I started out, I was just like you. If you're not, have nothing to do with real estate, I didn't have a clue. But my point is you have to get started. And once you get started, God is going to open up different doors and he's going to close different doors too. You just have to understand once you start that process, things are going to start to happen that you had no idea what's going to happen. It's almost like if you go out and this is just this water back here in the morning is just slick and you throw just a small, the tiniest pebble, just throwing that tiny pebble, just taking that action, even though it's so small, it's going to have a ripple effect and just keep going. And just imagine there's no beaches or there's no rocks. That pebble, that ripple effect would just keep going. And that is going to happen whenever you start the process of learning about, let's say it's real estate. You're learning about real estate. You start to invest. You start to network with people. You start doing all those things. And that's when just things just start to happen. I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds a little bit woo woo at times, but I'm telling you, from my experience of doing this for as long as I've done it, it's sometimes it's just insane that it happens. And new people that see the different things that are happening and I'm explaining to them, they're like, man, that's crazy. That's unbelievable. I was like, no, it's really not. It's because once you focus on this, once you realize, hey, I want to get to the point that work is optional. I'm focused on passive income. It is completely life changing. And do yourself a favor and do me a favor as well. If you start to do this, make sure that you involve your kids and show them how important this is. Because I encourage you to do this. We were sitting at a dinner last night, and we've got one, two, three, four. We have three teenagers and two 20-year-olds with us. And they're sitting at the table talking about passive income and different things like that. They didn't really know what they're talking about, but again, they're thinking about it. And if not, if you're not encouraging them or having these conversations with them, then they're going to go down the same route, the same path that you and I have been led to believe is the only way to build wealth. Work until you're 70, 75, put money in the stock market, and then hope you're able to retire and hope you're healthy enough at that time. But if you want your kids to do that path and you think it's great, go for it. But my point is, if you do the other thing and talk about the freedom path that we're talking about, at least you've given them options to choose how they want to do it. Now, if you want to learn more about my favorite investment in real estate for passive income, real estate syndications, do me a favor, check out this next video.